This morning on Daybreak for you, a firefighter spends the 18th anniversary of 9/11 honoring those who lost their lives.
And we have a recap on the abuse trial of Kenneth Davis taking place this week.
Plus, overnight, Arkansas residents experiencing a bit of an earthquake. We'll talk about that and more coming up this morning for you here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning and thanks for waking up with us. It's Thursday, September 12th. I'm Lauren Barnes.
I'm Joe Morano, and you asked me right when I walked in if I felt the earthquake, and I thought, what are you talking about?
I know. I was trying to mess with you because I walked in just a few minutes before you did, and our producer filled me in. She told me there was an earthquake last night, and I said, yeah, I'm going to ask Joe if he felt that. But we did have some calls from Republic, people who live there, saying they felt it.
That's right. A few calls from folks in Missouri. It wasn't Arkansas, though. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. We'll also talk weather, of course, this morning. We check in with meteorologist Elisa Rappa, who joins us today. No earthquake feels for you, right?
No, didn't feel it. But there are some questions from the Branson area on Facebook, too, about, oh, did you feel it? I'm like, what? Feel what?
Hey, yeah, Branson would be pretty close, so I'm sure people down there felt it as well.
Yeah, something to look into today. And then another warm one to start out today?
Another hot one. That cold front comes through tonight with some relief for tomorrow. So that last summery day of this stretch today. Starting out in the 70s again. We've got some mostly clear skies. Those temperatures are in the lower 70s again this morning. It's 74 degrees in Springfield on steady south and southeast winds at 10 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies again this morning. Some dry roads as you head to work and school. It's 73 in Harrison, 68 in Branson, and 70 degrees in Fort Leonard Wood. Dew points in the upper 60s and lower 70s. By now, you know what that means. It means that it feels humid out there again this morning. Dry roads as we head through the entire day today. I don't expect any rain until the overnight hours, so you get home from work and school dry. Another hot one by dismissal, kids, 92, feels closer to 100, very similar to the last couple of days that we've had this week. Our cold front comes through tonight with an isolated severe threat up to the north and west. We've got to talk about this. Plus, it brings us some brief relief, about 2 days, not as hot before the heat returns. Your full forecast is coming up in 10 minutes.
And we do want to start by letting you know about that breaking news as residents woke up to an earthquake at about 2 a.m. this morning in Gassville, Arkansas. The United States Geological Survey confirmed the 3.7 quake struck at about 1:42 a.m. The Twin Lakes area is considered part of the New Madrid seismic zone, which covers parts of Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, and several other states. Kenneth Davis continued his court appearance in Greene County yesterday. He's accused of 7 counts of abuse or neglect of a child, but also in a separate case, he faces charges in Dallas County in the death of 2-year-old Kinsley Kilgore. Yesterday morning, Davis took the stand and mentioned incidents that witnesses had previously brought up. There was the time where he and the alleged victim went to a creek to swim, and she sustained injuries from that trip. He claims that the victim accidentally fell and got hurt on some rocks. During cross-examination, though, the prosecution claimed Davis's story changed about what happened at the creek.
And you indicated that you had... And your testimony today is that the accident occurred as you were leaving the creek. She ran ahead of you and fell down in that brush.
Yes.
Now, isn't it true that you told Jennifer Flood that she had had the accident on the way to the creek?
No, that is not true.
So you did not tell Jennifer Flood that, in fact, that as soon as you got there, took off out of the van, you yelled at her to stop and wait for you, but as she neared the trail, she fell.
No, that is not true.
All right, so you deny telling that to Jennifer Flood?
Yes, I do.
All right.
The trial will continue today with instructions to the jury, closing arguments, and then deliberations.
It's also your right to know in another criminal case, a verdict was reached in the murder of a Buffalo farmer. 70-year-old Carol Ford, as you see here, he was found stabbed to death in Buffalo in November of 2017. Yesterday, a judge decided Adam Redding was guilty of first-degree murder and armed criminal action. Redding was a farmhand on the Ford property. Ford's wife found him stabbed 30 times near his barn. Redding admitted he had been drinking before getting to work that day. The conflict between the two apparently started because Redding admitted he forged checks using Ford's name. Redding will be sentenced on October 11th.
Another crime update to pass along. A Marshfield woman was sentenced in federal court for her involvement in a conspiracy to distribute meth. Jamie Deem will spend the next 9 years in prison after being convicted of transporting meth and heroin between 2014 and 2018. She admitted that she had traveled to 3 different states and the St. Louis area numerous times to get those drugs to Springfield.
More than 600 Springfield students say they've considered suicide. The Springfield News Leader spoke to Rhonda Mammon, Director of Counseling Services at SPS. She says at least 1,000 students have told counselors they thought about killing or harming themselves. The statistics are from last school year, kindergarten through 12th grade. Mammon says most of the reports are from high school and middle school, but the elementary age group is increasing as well. The district set aside extra money in the budget to put towards suicide prevention training for teachers. Plus, SPS has partnered with Burrell Behavioral Health to provide case management and therapy for all schools that feed into Hillcrest. Hundreds of students have already enrolled.
We have new information on how taxpayer dollars were used during former Governor Eric Greitens' legal case back in 2017. An audit released by Nicole Galloway shows that during a legal battle over Greitens' use of a confidential messaging app, the governor's office used a little more than $201,000 to cover expenses. Almost $23,000 from the Attorney General's office was also used. The lawsuit alleged that Greitens' office used the app called Confide to subvert Missouri's open record laws. The case was later dismissed. Neither the governor's office or the attorney general's office commented on this new information, though.
Also happening around the Ozarks, something you might have missed yesterday from the anniversary of 9/11. A 20-year-old firefighter spent the day paying tribute. Austin Umstead is a firefighter for the Lebanon Rural Fire Protection District. He stood on the bridge over I-44 all day long in full uniform. Talk about hot. With the flag raised over his head, he began at 10:30 in the morning and went into the night. He says he wanted to do something different to memorialize those lives lost.
9/11 is always a real important thing to me every year, so I wanted to do something different this year instead of just going to the memorial service or just kind of sitting around praying and thinking about stuff. So I figured I'd get out, be active in the community, just show them something we can always move on forward and hope it doesn't happen again.
Lebanon also held a ceremony for first responders and unveiled a new flag to replace the old one that was vandalized at the courthouse.
Remembering 9/11 is also particularly special for a Southeast Kansas man. He was a Pittsburgh State University teacher who was in New York that day, and it's the reason he joined the military and also put together PSU's first memorial service.
I ran up to the 5th story of my building because I could actually see the Twin Towers from that location. Pretty far away, but at that point it was just all smoke. And I was up a good 36 hours just watching the news. Clear blue sky there, New York City, as we watched the fighter jets circle around the city and kind of protect us. Real eye-opener for just about everyone, especially myself.
It was such an eye-opening experience for Eric Leone, he went to enlist in the Army.
This solidified my decision to join. So when 9/11 happened, I joined 6 months after.
Now he's a professor in Pittsburgh State's military science program. At 8:46 a.m. and at 9:03 a.m. ROTC students shot off a cannon signifying each plane that struck the World Trade Centers.
It's very important for me to be involved today. I have a sense of honor and pride whenever I get to promote something for those that have fallen.
To pay tribute to the nearly 3,000 lives lost. Cadets did push-ups honoring each victim.
So hearing the names and being able to really do something for each individual was a really enlightening experience.
As their captains read 2,977 names, the cadets did not break their stance. The experience, something captains hope resonate with their cadets.
The pain you go through doing 2,977 push-ups is nowhere near the pain that the family and friends and loved ones of those individuals on 9/11 went through.
And Bryce Johnson is actually in his 14th year of service now, as it took cadets 3 hours to complete those push-ups.
Still ahead for you this morning on Daybreak, Purdue Pharma may have a settlement figured out.
And the October tariffs against China have been postponed. We'll explain in your Money Watch coming up.
From Color 10 Ozarks First, Lauren Barnes, Joe Morano, and weather with meteorologist Elisa Raffa. This is Color 10 News Daybreak.